My name is DJ Frankie Bones from Brooklyn, New York, and we're hanging out here in New York City. I started DJing towards the late 70s, early 80s, when the roller disco craze happened. I was really young, like 12 or 13 years old, and I first saw a DJ, manipulating two records, and it was just something. The minute I saw it, I wanted to do it. So I just went in and did it, and never looked back from 13 years old on. In the early 80s, when Africa Bambaataa came out with Soul Sonic Force and did Planet Rock, it was the first record that actually said DJ bonus beats, and then you see the word DJ on a record, and I think from that point on, it made me curious as a young kid. You want to mimic what you like. So after Planet Rock came out, the electro scene happened, and that made me, want to go and look into, doing these things for myself. We didn't know what to make it with, but we knew that there wasn't bands and people you hire sessions, players to come in, that people were making these things in their bedrooms, and that's what got me curious to the whole production thing, to, get in there and try to make my own records. And, that's how I got, started with that, pretty much. How I got my hands on my first rolling drum machine. Okay, I was dating this girl, and I actually remember her name was Jackie Hall. She was a 16-year-old girl that I went to high school with. Her mother had a studio in the house. So one day we're in this house, and I see the girl's mom had a bunch of stuff on the table, and I'm like, what is all this stuff? We saw synthesizers, and I saw the Roland 808, and she goes, I don't know how to use any of this stuff. I don't think you should touch it. And I was like, well, what does this thing do? Because it was Roland, it was an 808, it had orange and yellow buttons, and it looked interesting. So I pushed power on, and the minute that I heard the kick drum, I knew that was the machine that made the music I like. So it was like, from that point on, I want to get an 808. It was like discovering gold, because you knew right away that's the machine that does what you want to do. So after that, I wanted to get an 808. Couldn't afford it, but that's how it started, just being on a date with some girl from high school, and seeing the Roland sitting there in the house. That's a funny story. That was the first time, yeah. The new Aira stuff, the Roland line, is, to me, it's like a resurgence of everything that I've learned from the 90s. I mean, my 909 was the prized possession of the studio. Every single record I made had that one 909. The drums, it's always been about drums. So if you had a 909, your basis of anything you do is in that machine. To unbox the Aira, and then I never owned an 808. So, if it's house and techno, the 909 is one thing. If you're doing electro, you need an 808. So when I unboxed the Aira and I just plugged it in, the minute that I took it out of the box, it was like, it just brought me right back to like when we were renting studios and you would do patterns on the 808. It wasn't your machine, so you had to go and you had to program things fast. So I took them out of the box and I had the beats running, and I'm listening, and I'm like, everything was, to me, it was the digital version of the analog classic, but perfect. It's like the original pieces, and now you have even more stuff you could do with them, but just taking them out of the box and just, I'm not like a studio genius. I know how to program drum machines, I know how to do some keyboards, but the ease of use on these new machines is what made me like, because now I know I could take them to a party if I wanted to do a live show. Jeff Mills comes out and brings his 909 with him. You bring the new Air boxes out, you could do a whole show just with that equipment, and then, I could play, my DJ set. But to have this stuff in, together, and then I never did that before, I'm really curious. I think I could really do like a lot with it, and I'm planning to do a lot with that. I think it's very inspiring, actually. Awesome.